Hello, it is finally the spooky month, so say hello to my thematically appropriate black cat. She wants down. Okay, you can sit. No? Okay. So I'm so happy it's October. Fall is my favorite season. It's a lot of people's favorite seasons, but I'm super excited for all the things that come along with fall, including Halloween. So I thought for October I would spend the whole month making my Halloween costume. I have made a few renderings, but generally I'm going to be making kind of like a 18th century inspired witch costume. So what that'll entail is stays, a chemise, a skirt, a witch hat, because you can't be a witch without a hat. I guess you can, but I don't want to be a witch without a hat. I'm going to be making a staff, and then I'm also going to be trying my hand at leatherworking. I've literally never done any leatherworking before, so that'll be kind of an adventure in learning something new. But I love learning new things, so I think that it will be fun. Hopefully it's fun for you guys too. But the general plan is that I'm going to cover 1 or 2 parts of the costume in each video. So this will be like a 5-week kind of series where I'm just going through how I'm making my whole Halloween costume, and we're gonna start with the stays. So this video, we're gonna be covering stays. I was gonna start with the chemise, but I don't have the fabric yet. So the stays are gonna be using fabric from my stash, so that's a little easier. I've made 3 designs of sketches just to try out some different concepts, see what styles I like the best of everything, and I've narrowed it down to what I really want from this costume. I also wanted to make this costume so I can make some pieces of clothing that I can just wear generally. So this will be a little bit different from Alice, where it's more reusable clothes than very just costume heavy clothing. So from those 3 designs, I kind of picked and chose what I liked of each the most. So from the first design, I actually pretty much took most of it from the first design, but I like the style of the stays and the style of the chemise's sleeves. But from the last design, I liked the staff more. So I like to kind of give myself a few options and then pick the best aspects of each one. And that seems to be the way that a lot of the popular fan artists who do like cosplay designs work as well. So I don't know, if you like to design things, maybe try that. Anyways, that's the plan for this whole month. Hopefully this is gonna be interesting for you guys to watch. And then I'm also gonna try to throw in some vlogging because I have a lot of fun like weekend activities planned for this month. Hopefully the vlogging is not too off topic and it's still interesting. We'll see. So for this first video, we're gonna be doing the stays. Next week, hopefully, will be the chemise and the skirt, as long as I get fabric in time. And then I'm waiting on supplies for the leather working for the belt, and the last one is going to be covering the witch hat and the staff, since those are kind of the extraneous items. But I'm really excited to get started. It's literally, October is my favorite month, and fall is my favorite season. I also like November. I just like fall. My brother's birthday is also this month, so it's always been kind of fun to be able to celebrate that. And yeah, I don't really like hot weather, so when it gets cold, I'm just a lot happier. So I'm very pleased that fall is happening now and we are able to get some fun activities in. So now that we have gone over the general plan for the month, let's go look at the pattern. I'm going to be using RedThreaded's 1780's stays for my pattern, and I have so far cut off all the seam allowances. I walked all the seams to make sure all the lines match up, and they do this time, unlike on their 1860's gourd corset, which did not in which the seams did not match up, so that was unfortunate. I used the 1860's gourd corset in my Alice corset video, so if you want to see how that went, you can check that video out. Spoiler alert, it didn't go super well. But I decided to give them another try because this pattern actually gets a lot of really good reviews. So I'm hoping, I think this one was also made more recently, so I'm hoping that this one will work out a little bit better. So far it's looking better. So far it's looking better already. Walking the seams, all of them matched up, so that's good. And I measured everything out to see if it would fit my body measurements. I think for the most part it will. I'm a little worried about the bust measurement, so I added a 1/4 inch to the side front of the side panel just to give myself a little extra room, and then I can always take that out, and it's easier to take it out than to add it back in while I'm doing a fitting. This pattern comes with 5 pieces. There's the front bodice, the side bodice, and the back bodice, pretty straightforward. And then there's a strap and a stomacher, and the strap and stomacher are optional. I'm going to be using the strap and not the stomacher. And I'm also going to be keeping the front lacing exactly how it is. So that's what I've gotten so far. I'm going to make a mock-up and make sure everything fits okay before I cut into my actual fabric, since I don't have too much of it. But I think that this should go pretty well. Yeah, hopefully. Alright, let's make the mock-up. Okay, I have got my stays all mocked up, and I stuck one of the lacing panels that I cut off of an old mock-up. I just stuck that on the front there, so I'll be able to lace it up. And then instead of actually putting grommets into anything, I just safety pins some ribbons to it. It's fine. Yeah, so I am gonna go ahead and try this on, and I'm hoping it won't need too many alterations. So this is not actually going to be like a structural garment. Nothing's going to go on top of it. It's just decorative. However, because it's such a close fitting garment, I figured I should still do a mock-up. Just make sure everything at least remotely fits, because I don't want anything to be like too wildly out of place. So that's why I am doing this mock-up. So, you know, that's a good thing to do. Do your mock-ups. Cool. Let's get this on. I think it looks pretty good. It could curve a little bit more in the back, I think. The back is very straight up and down, and I'm a little bit more sway backed, I think, than this pattern is. So I think maybe I will take a little tiny bit out to make the back seam, like the back center seam, a little bit curved. Alright, so I've got my pattern pieces here. I think because the back is so straight up and down, I'll take a little bit off of this excuse me, I'll take a little bit off of this side back seam here so that I get a little bit more curve through right here, because right now it's just like, if you look at this curve right here, I think that could be more dramatic. I also think the back is just a little bit too big maybe, but I don't know, that it might be fine. It's very high. I guess that's normal though. The other one is also pretty high. Yeah, I think the back is too high. I think I would prefer if it went down like this, and I also think like it comes in a little bit too much. I'm not sure. The front looks really good. I'm happy with how the front looks. Let's see if I can pull this in a little bit more. Actually, I think maybe this could come in a little bit. Yeah, I think this is fine where it is. And then I think for the back, I would like to lower it maybe to about here-ish, so that it's kind of in line with like the underarm there, and then maybe move the straps farther out. Yeah, the whole thing just cuts in a lot for my preference. So I think I would prefer if it cut a little bit more like this rather than really far in like that, because it's not very flattering. It makes my shoulders look really wide. I can see why having it on the shoulder blade would be useful as like an actual undergarment, but this isn't an actual undergarment. It's just like a style piece, so I think it'll be okay. And then maybe a little bit more of a curve where the bust is. It's just very straight up and down, which I know is like kind of the point, but I think I do want to bring this a little bit more here. I think also the straps are a little bit too narrow. I think I'd prefer them to be a little wider. The main alterations I'm going to be making this are to widen the straps, take in a little bit at the side back waist, move the back parts closer to the shoulders and farther away from the center of the back. And I think that's mostly it. I might move this in, maybe not. These tabs also are all kind of really narrow. Oh, and then Red Threaded also includes an optional stomacher for her 1780s stays, so I'm gonna try that on. Oh, I didn't bone this at all. That's probably not great. Oh well. Just shove this down in there. The stomacher pattern seems fine. It doesn't I don't know, it just keeps it from showing through. I honestly don't know if I have enough fabric to add the stomachers, so if I do, then I will. If not, then I won't, and that's gonna be my deciding factor. The chemise that I wanna make is kind of sheer, so it would benefit from a stomacher to kind of make sure there is no slippage. So I think that this is a success, and we've got our alterations to make. Awesome, let's go do that. Alright, I am so sorry guys, but I seem to have deleted all the footage from actually sewing these stays. I'm in the middle of editing right now and can't find any of it. But I wanted to talk about some things about these stays with how I did some finishing on them. So most of it was pretty standard. It's like the standard of doing grommets on my grommet punch. You guys have seen that before. And then putting the boning in. It was synthetic whalebone. I wanted to talk about what I used for the binding. I got this cotton satin ribbon from So Vintagely on Etsy, I believe. I will link them in the description. But I prefer to use cotton satin ribbon instead of the suggested bias tape to bind stays and corsets because it prevents the parts of the neckline and the tabs that are on the bias from getting stretched out over time. So this whole thing is cut on bias, obviously, because that's kind of how a scoop neckline works. Over time that'll stretch out because it's under constant tension when it's laced up. Same with these tabs, they might not experience quite as much tension, but they are still traveling through a bias, and those are areas that will tend to stretch out over time. So using a cotton satin ribbon will really help stabilize all of those bias edges. I'm also using the cotton satin ribbon as a lacing ribbon and to tie the straps to the bodice, but other than that it was pretty straightforward. I do have one thing that I need to fix, so I will do that just now, and then you guys will see the reveal. So I don't have any aglets right now in which I can like seal the ends of these ribbons so that they go nicely through the grommet holes. So I do a method where I tie it off. I've shown it in a previous video where I did the petticoat for Alice, but I'll do it again so that you guys can see how it's done. It makes it so it's really nice and tidy. However, this one kind of had a little bit of a rough time. I went to a farm with this and rolled around a lot. You'll see in the reveal. And so it needs to be redone. The other one though is still totally okay. It didn't have any damage, so I just have to fix the one of them, and I will show you guys how I do that right now. That was really hot. You told me it was hot and I thought it would be okay.
Yep.
Beef. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making these stays and also wearing them, so I'm definitely gonna make some more in the future. I would love to incorporate them more into my like casual clothing wear. So you'll definitely be seeing some more of those. I also hope you guys liked this style of reveal. I have a lot of fun things planned for the fall, so I kind of wanted to do some vlogging and bring you guys along on all of my fall themed activities and kind of incorporate that into my reveals. So hopefully that was fun to watch, and if it wasn't, I guess let me know what you'd rather see. If you prefer the style of reveal where I'm just kind of standing in my studio and showing off what I've made. For the stays, everything went pretty smoothly, so I didn't really feel the need to do much discussion about it. The red threaded pattern worked really well, actually. I was a little bit surprised after the whole debacle with trying to get the Victorian corset to fit properly and having the issues with the grading not being correct and all of that. The stays are a much better pattern and I didn't have any issues with any of the lines not matching up. The fit was pretty good. I didn't end up having to take in much. And so I was really happy with this pattern. Aside from some minor alterations to fit, which is expected, I followed everything pretty straightforwardly. So everything was pretty good. The only major change that I made in terms of construction was that I used a ribbon instead of a bias tape to bind the entire outside edge. And that was because, like I mentioned earlier, I don't want the edges to stretch out and get warped. I think using a bias tape is not really the best method for binding stays or anything that might end up on a bias. That was the only big gripe that I had with the instructions, and I understand why she did the bias tape. It's because it makes it a lot easier. Bias tape is easier to handle and easier to get around curves than ribbon, so I get why it's just easier for a consumer. But if you want my opinion, I think you should bind it with a ribbon instead. It'll just make it so that nothing stretches out of shape. Other than that, I'm really happy with the stays. I think that they worked out super well. I'm happy with all the materials I used. I used synthetic whalebone, a cotton, and a twill for the lining, and then the cotton satin ribbon for the binding and the lacing ribbon. That all worked great, and I have no other commentary. So I hope you liked it too, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you liked the design of the stays, if you prefer corsets to stays, if you liked the tabs. I'm going to be making another pair of stays in the future without the tabs, so we'll see. And what you thought generally of the reveal style. I would love feedback on all of those things. And if you want to see the rest of this costume, I'm making a spooky witch costume, then please hit subscribe, and I'd love to see you guys in the future. Okay, bye-bye.